Hey guys, it's your girl Kelsie Lyn, and welcome to the Glass Hearts podcast, where this is a safe space for you, for us to talk about everything that we don't feel comfortable talking about, or safe talking about, or feel like we have anybody in this moment, that we have anybody to talk to about, like her death threat of bees. Apparently, we have a bee infestation in the room, and Dawn felt like she was about to get attacked.
I was about to.
It was the scream for me because it was a moment, and then all you hear is,
Because I saw it in my peripheral, so it seemed bigger than what it was.
Oh
I just saw like
my
something in my peripheral flying.
God.
Well, that's a great introduction.
That was.
Hi.
Pull your mic closer. You done scared your mic away.
Oh my gosh. It was just in my peripheral, and I felt like it was like this. Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
I'm done.
What's
The
up?
one
I'm
that wants
Kelli.
to live in the wilderness.
You might have to
I
say
know,
your name
right?
again because she over here pleading for her life on camera.
What's up, you guys? I'm Kelli.
So today we're just really just talking about relationships, you guys. We might venture off and talk about whatever else. It's okay. It's all right. So how's your relationship with bees?
They're not good. They're not
With
good.
bugs.
It's just bugs, period. Bees. I just got over my fear of June bugs. Like, I am able to swat
Are you
them
really
away.
scared of bugs like that? Like in
Yes,
general?
I don't like them. Like spiders, I do not like
Okay,
bugs.
I think this is a great segue because I can go into your relationship with your dad with this. Because
Yeah.
you had the kind of father that just did everything for you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm assuming he killed all your bugs.
So if it wasn't my dad, it was my mom. If it wasn't my mom, it was my big sister. And then if it wasn't them, my little sister, she likes the bugs at one point in time, so she would collect them. So she had an actual, like a bugatorium. I don't know what you would call it, but she got it for Christmas.
No.
My little sister, when she was little,
My
she
face is itching.
loved. She was very like a Bill Nye the Science Guy type
Kinda
kid.
girl, okay.
So she had this. My mom bought it for her, and it had the backdrop of it had all these bugs, and then it gave her a book, and she would, if she found a moth, she was supposed to like find them, like whatever type of moth she found, she was supposed to like find it in the book and then like know like the name or the species of what it came from. And so she had ants, she had all kind of stuff in there. So at the
What
time,
did you do when you moved, though?
When I moved on my
when you
own.
moved on your own and nobody was there to save you.
Well, I
Because
had
She
that's
called
when
her
I-
neighbors.
my
Really?
neighbor, oh,
Yes,
all
she
of
had.
my
She
neighbors.
has neighbors that literally would come over to her house to hang a picture.
Yeah. I really
A
did
picture.
not know that wasn't normal until other people started finding out, like, these are the things that I had asked them to do. And then they did it. And so when I started sharing, so Kelsie, being Kelsie, was like, Don, just put it up. And I'll be like, who's going to put the cabinet together? You do it. And I would be like, no, like, I can program the microwave. I can set the time on that. I can set the time on the stove. I've actually put the TV stand together. Like, me and my son, we did it when we first got, like, our TV. But other than that, that's just not, no.
None of it. Like, she had a shelf, y'all, that was a basic shelf when she was moving. And I was like, why you ain't take that shelf down? You done got everything else. She was like, oh, I'm waiting for a man to come do it. I said, oh, girl, I can do that. I can take the shelf down. And so all you had to do is, they have those little stickers where the screws are. You just remove those stickers and unscrew it, and then it comes right off. She's like, see, I didn't even know anything about that.
That's just something that I just,
I don't
even
see
taking
nothing
care of
wrong
my
about it.
But I think that's
like,
a testament of her relationship with her father and how he took care of her.
Yeah, even
you know
with
what
my
I'm
car.
saying?
Like, when my car would die, I would. The first person that I always called was my dad for everything. Like, Daddy, my car is making this like rat-a-tat-tat noise. And he'll be like, okay, turn it on. And I would literally like turn it on, then run to the front of the car, hold the car down, and I'd be like, you hear it? And he'd be like, yeah, I hear it. And he'd be like, bring it over here. So I would literally pass 500 mechanics to get to my dad's house for him to take me to one of the 500 mechanics that I passed getting to his house. But it was just something about him being with me. Don't laugh at me.
I'm not laughing.
She's finding it fascinating.
But yeah, it was something about him being with me that would like go with me that I felt safe. And then I felt like because I had a man that they weren't going to try to price gouge me or take advantage.
Yeah.
And so those are the things that I realize now because he's not here, that I've had to like grow up and do, you know, on my own. Like I remember having a flat tire and I had a whole breakdown because I was like, and this is a little bit after my dad passed, and I was like, see God, like this is why you were supposed to give me my husband before my dad passed or like right after, because then I wouldn't have to sit here and deal with this, you know, by myself. And he was like, but you're not by yourself because I'm with you. And I was able to call my brother-in-law. And I had like this whole, you know, like moment. Yeah. And my sister was like, you know, your brother-in-law, like, well, me and my brother-in-law, our relationship is really close. Like, I don't even introduce him as my brother-in-law because we really are close, like brother and sister. So I'm like, that's my brother. So he was like, don't worry about it. I'll be there in a minute. And he came, and he was at work. So he drove his car. Like, aww. Yeah, he was at work. He had just started his shift. And he was like, just stay there, sit in the car. Are you safe? And I was like, yeah. So he came. He put air in my tire. And on the car, it'll tell you, like, you know, your air is supposed to be at this whatever. And then, so as he put air in it, it went up, but then it would come back down. So he was like, okay, so you have a slow leak. So I'm like, but what? You know, in my mind, I'm like, what?
The end of the world.
And he's like, just go to the tire shop around the corner from the house. They will help you. And I was like, but am I going to make it home safe? And he was like, yeah, just drive. You know, and I was like.
See, my experience is different. Like, my dad will do it the first couple times, but if I, like, one time I kept having tire issues after a while, I was like, all right, I'm going to have to teach you. Like, you're going to have to figure this out because I need to know that if I'm not able to come, that you're going to be able to figure it out because I'm not going to always be able to come. And that's how I realized, too, in my relationships. Like, I have friends that are like, nope, I'm not putting gas in the car. I'm not anything car maintenance. I'm not doing anything men are supposed to do. I'm not doing it. But me, I'm like, no, I can figure it out. If he can do it and you are free, by all means, but if you're not, it's not like a deal breaker. Yep. It's not one of those things that, oh, he didn't do this, so it's an absolute no.
Yeah, no.
And then even the way my mom was, like, my mom not waiting for my dad to take the trash out. My mom don't like the smell of the trash. She not waiting to ask no man. She about to take that trash out right now.
If I was in the car and I had to go to the gas station with my dad, even when my dad got his leg amputated and had a prosthetic, he would still get out. And I'd be like, Daddy, I can do it. He'd be like, no, I got it. Let me exercise. Like, my dad was that man, like that man. You know what I mean? Like, there were certain things that he just did as a man, and like doing for me was one of them. And so even up until he passed, and I was 41, there was just certain things that I did not do. So, and there were a lot of lessons, you know, that he taught me. And there were a lot of things that I wish I would have listened to a lot sooner, because now I have a whole lot of questions that I would love to go back and ask him that I can't ask him, you know. But those things about like putting gas in my car, keeping my car washed, he was the one that would always tell me, like, keep your car clean. You know, don't leave stuff in your car. And, you know, I used to put, like, my change in the cup holder. Just, you know, so, like, if you go through the drive-thru and they ask, oh, you know, your total is $10.52, you know, I look in the cup holder and get the 52 cents. And he will always tell me, like, you do not leave, you know, you must stop leaving stuff in your car. And then when my car started getting broken into, and he'll be like, this is why I tell you not to leave stuff in your car. And it was just, and he would, it's so many things. Like, he would tell me, you know, you don't have everybody at your house. Because I used to do, you know, when I was younger, I had a whole lot of friends. And so my house was like the spot, because I was like one of the first people in my age group to get their own place. Mm-hmm. And so I would tell him about, like, oh, you know, my friends are coming over. And we used to do Taco Tuesdays before Taco Tuesday was a thing. And we would do like Taco Tuesday or fried chicken Friday or fish or whatever. And he would like, girl, you don't have all them people in your house. Let it go. And I would be like, but Daddy, these are my friends. He would be like,
oh my God.
You know,
that's so,
you know,
it's
just,
so innocent.
It's
like,
so
it's true.
But they
These are my
know.
friends.
And I'm like, but these are my friends. Like, nobody's going to do me wrong. You know, like, my house is the spot. They want to come over here. And it was just like, you don't have all these people in your house. And I was just like, okay. And so now I get it. And so now, you know, my son, I'm like, you don't have everybody in your house. It's so many things. Oh, being out late. He used to get on me about that, you know, because I don't know, I didn't have a fear of a whole lot of stuff. So I would leave, walk out the house 9, 10 o'clock at night to go somewhere. If it was to go get something to eat, it used to be a 24-hour Walmart. So if I used to want to redo my bathroom at 1 o'clock in the morning, I decided like, oh, I need new bath mats, or I need new towels. I know Walmart is open, or Kmart, that's what it was. The 24-hour Kmart before they closed it, you know, I would go, and he would be so upset. And then he would tell me stuff like, whenever you go somewhere, tell somebody who you're with, just in case something happens. And now you see all of these people that come up missing, that come up dead, that things happen to them, and everyone's first question is, well, where were they going? Who were they with? You know, when did they leave? Did they tell anybody when they were there? And so these are things that, like, in my mind, it was like, dang, like, why you always want to know? Like, I'll be right back. And it wasn't about me being right back. It was just, girl, you tell somebody where you're going and who you are going to be with, just in case something happens, because those are the questions that somebody is going to ask. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I realized that I've had a different daddy-daughter experience.
I know for me, my upbringing really installed, I had the word in my head, now it's out of my head, independence. Mm-hmm. Because my mom did not know a lot. And so I had to find out for myself. And my dad knew a lot, but if he knew, then he taught me. He made me learn it. So the first and the only time I ever changed a tire was in his garage.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't changing.
He was like, you know how to change a tire? No, I'm a girl. I'm 13. I don't know how to change no tire. He was like, you gonna learn today. How, Sway? Mm-hmm. Like, who, you about to teach me how to, that tire is big. That's
and it's dirty. Mm-hmm.
It's dirty, it's nasty. I'm in my good clothes. And it's a Mercedes. That's a big rim, and you bougie.
And
that's
it's
how
dirty.
My dad was too.
Girl.
I've done it with my dad just once. He don't make sure he shows me at least once. Whether I actually do it or no. But it's like, just in case that one time you stuck somewhere and you have to figure it out, you're going to remember this.
Exactly.
Or luckily technology, maybe he will have to talk me through it over the phone, like whatever it is. But he was big on that, and I'm that independence was instilled in me too.
But now, where I am in my relationships, I have to make sure that personally, I'm not too independent in a relationship. You know, so I always look to make room for the people who I'm dating or in a relationship with. You want to open my door? Go right ahead. But that's also the Southern woman in me, right? You want to pay for my meal? Okay, go right ahead. Like, I appreciate it. Next time it's on me if you allow me to. You know what I'm saying? But making sure that I'm not too independent, that I can't walk in the fullness of my femininity. Because by myself, I can't be the full feminine person that I want to be alone.
Right.
Because I don't have someone filling in those gaps right now.
Yeah.
It's not until someone is in your life that you get to actually practice that. The only time I get to practice my full femininity is in relationships. Yeah. And that's why people think like, oh, you gonna be you this in the relationship. I was like, no, I'm actually not. I'm actually the exact opposite in a relationship. I'm very vulnerable. I am very submissive in a relationship. I'm not the person that you get to see in front of you like this. I'm not the direct da-da-da-da-da in a relationship.
I don't want to be. I don't think we're not supposed to be like that.
No, but I don't. The thing is, I don't get to be in it because I wasn't raised with my father.
Yeah, so I was. So my experience is a lot different, I guess. Similar in the sense of I had my dad. My dad was there if I called him, no question. But teaching me independence. My mom, in a marriage, happily married, very independent woman. And she even instilled, like, I love your dad. That's my guy. That's my best friend. But if something were to happen to him or he wanted to one day go do his own thing, I could take care of me and I could take care of my kids. And so she instilled that in us. Like, you always be able to take care of yourself regardless of what's going on with the man in your life. And so I was thinking about this today, like, when I think about it, I feel like I was raised to be a wife because I was raised by a wife. So I watched my mom be an amazing wife to my dad, an amazing mom. And so, like, I've been acting as a wife since I was a teenager because that's what I knew, and that's how I knew to show up in relationships and love. And that obviously is not healthy as a 13-year-old trying to be a wife to a 13-year-old boy. Yeah. My gosh. So that has always been my lesson over the years, is like how to balance that, to not give too much, to not give too much too soon. Is it time yet? Can I be who I really am? Because that's how I was raised to love, and that's how I feel comfortable showing up, is like loving and giving and doing
1,000%.
1,000%. And like learning, okay, scale it back. He doesn't deserve all of that. That's not your husband. That's not how you show up in this relationship. And I'm still trying to learn that balance, because now I'm at the point where it's like, okay, so I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this, but it's like, okay, but is it time? Is it safe to do that now? And
because no one taught us how to date.
No, I don't know how to date.
No one taught us how to date. We had to learn this by like trial and error.
Yes, I don't like that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, to know that I need to give you boundaries. Oh, I just thought we just hop in this thing and you mine, I'm yours, hey boo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no one taught us, like, okay, if he's showing you this, you need to scale back a little bit. No one taught us how to gauge a relationship. How safe is it as far as emotionally? You know what I'm saying?
I think it's one thing to be told it. Like, I feel like I was told, don't do this, don't do that. But that's not what I saw. That wasn't the example. So I'm being told through words here and there, you know, this is how it should be, but in my day-to-day, it's like, that's not
Well, I mean,
the
you
example.
definitely not going to see it if your parents are married.
Yeah.
You know? So, obviously, you already got the wife part down. I think someone compatible for the life partner is the part where we're like, what's up, Jesus?
Yeah.
When he
Where
coming?
you at?
Where he at?
Yeah, I think my mom taught me that independence like that, too. Like, my mom worked. She came home. She took care of us. She made a meal. My mom and my dad weren't married. And even though they weren't married and were in the same house, I still very much was a daddy's girl. But what my mom did teach me inadvertently was take care of yourself, take care of your house, you know. And I grew up a little faster because I had my little sister and my little brother that I had to help take care of. And so with me, my relationships, the desire that I had to want somebody to look at me with the same love that I was giving out, because at a very young age, I was already giving, I was already nurturing. You know, I was already like getting out of school, picking my little sister and brother up from the daycare, making sure that they did their homework, making sure that they had a snack, taking, you know, the chicken out the freezer or starting the sides or whatever it is that my mom told me to do at a young age. So in my mind, I was grown. And I wanted to do grown things. And that matured me a lot faster than a lot of the other girls, because things that they were talking about, or like being on the cheerleading team after school or going to something else after school, I was going home to be the junior mom. And so I think in that wanting to be a junior mom, the relationship piece, you know, was missing. Like, well, where's the junior dad? You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing all of these things. And so I ended up, you know, having an older boyfriend, which brought all of these other things. He exposed me to life a lot faster than I probably should have been exposed to it, and ended up having a baby early. And so although I was playing junior mom, now I am a mom, you know, at 14, which catapulted me from being this 14-year-old teenage girl to now being a 14-year-old teenage mom, having to take on the roles of a mom when I should have been just taking on the roles of like growing up as a young girl.
So you was like a Mary and you had a baby Jesus.
So I was like, yeah, but except I wasn't a virgin. And ain't no angel appeared upon my Joseph.
They say Mary was like 13 when
she was
had
13.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
13.
So yeah, and I look at that. I always think about that too, because especially like when I had my son, there were so many people that, you know, just came down on me. But then there was a community of women that came out the woodworks and was like, you can do it. We're proud of you. And when I had my son, you know, my mom, she decided, the decision was up to me. And she was like, what do you want to do? The day that I found out I was pregnant, she was like, and I called her and I told her, she was like, so what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm keeping my baby.
Right.
Like, there's not an option. She was like, okay, I'll support you. And my dad, on the other hand, not so much, but he finally came around. But I think about that because there were so many women that came out and were telling me how they had to have tabletop abortions, how their child was taken away from them, and then they were sent away, and then they came back, and it was like they came back, and then they raised their baby as their little sister, and so, or the baby was sent away to a family who couldn't have kids. And so just all of these women with all of these different stories, and literally Dejan he literally brought the village together. Wow. Like, I had a neighbor across the street. She bought me like the Cadillac of all strollers. It was like a stroller back then, you know. I mean, technology now, I mean, you're talking about 30 years ago. So technology now, the strollers are completely different. You hit a button, it's popping out, the car seat comes out the car for you. It has legs, it pops itself in the thing. It's the whole thing. You don't have to do nothing. Here I am, you know, got to pull this part, push this part. You hold that part, pull the legs out, but it was still the top of the line stroller. And then my sister's friend, she bought me a car seat. I didn't even have a car. I wasn't even old enough to drive. I couldn't even drive. And then it was just like all these people just came out and loved on this kid. And so I didn't have the typical teen mom story where like I struggled and I did this. Like, no, I went through high school. I was on the drill team. I had a position in student council. But that speaks to the community, right? And it speaks to, like, even in my mess, God had me, you know? And I think of, like, only God can create a baby. In this crazy environment that it was in, that was still my blessing. And he saved me. So just like, you know, like how Jesus came to save the world, like Dejan Conant, he came and he saved me. Because if it wasn't, I know that I would not be sitting here telling this story, having the life that I have, if it wasn't for the fact that I had him so young.
Where do you think you would be had you not had your son at the age you did?
I don't know. I don't think I would be here because so much of everything I did was for him. Like, my mindset completely shifted. Once I came into of like, okay, you're pregnant. You're going to have this kid. This kid is looking up to you, not anybody else. He's looking up to you. There were things in me. And then I remember just like praying, like, God, like, I give this baby to you. Like, I'm going to really need you to help me with him. Before I even knew, you know, how we're supposed to give our kids back to God, like, I remember praying and just saying, like, if you help me, you know, I would give you all the glory. And he did. He literally, when I tell everybody Dejan is God's child, he is, because I was not.
Didn't I say Mary and Jesus?
I wasn't mentally.
I thought I was playing.
No, he is. I wasn't mentally stable enough. Like, there were things that I just still wanted to do. I was 14. So I wanted to still do things that 14-year-olds are doing. Like, my friends that were going out, going to parties. I remember going to the first party after I had him, and I was dancing with this guy, and he had a gun in his pocket. It was like some hood party, but I just wanted to go out. Like, I just wanted to go out. I wanted to go out and have a good time. And we dancing, and I feel something hard, and I'm like, dang, like, is it that hard? Like, and I, like, touch it, and I'm like, that's not what I thought it was.
Wait, press pause on the story. Not she touch it.
I did because
we heard that part.
Oh yeah,
I needed to see what's going on.
I am not even about to
said,
sugarcoat it. No, I was like, let me
investigate
and I was like, oh
this.
yeah, that's not what I thought it.
It's a whole barrel.
It's a whole barrel. And I was like, yeah, we gotta go. And so my friend at the time, she was like, my mom is here to come pick us up. And literally by the time we got home, the party got shot up. So it was like
by him?
I don't know if it was by him or by not, but I just know that
the thugs, huh?
No, I didn't like thugs. No, I didn't. No. But so he did, just even going through school. Like I didn't like school. I was a smart girl. I am a smart girl, but school just wasn't my thing. I wanted to be a stripper when I graduated from from high school.
You really did? Like,
I really wanted to be a stripper.
So why did I think you were joking on the first episode?
When I said
you were just doing some like kiki and stuff. Like you legit wanted to be a stripper back in the day.
So we had.
And where did that come from?
Because I wanted to move out of my mom's house. I wanted to be on my own.
And you just knew how much money they made, huh?
Yeah, because I had a friend that was a stripper.
You don't know what they go through, though.
I didn't know what they went through. But this is what I mean when I say Deshaun saved me. Because I had to think about him, and then it was like, okay, who's going to keep this kid? Then you're going to have to do other things. You're going to find yourself doing something strange for a piece of change to get a little extra money. Back then, rent for a one-bedroom apartment was like $400. Wow. So it was like, in my mind, I'm like, I could do a couple of lap dances. I could do a couple of not knowing, because I'm 14, right? Not knowing what lap dances and what private dances, what that leads to, and how most of the girls are drinking, drugging, doing all kind of things. And at the time, I never have been into smoking weed. I didn't start drinking until like later on. I mean, I would drink a wine cooler or something, but not like, let's go to the club. Let me pour. I wasn't like that.
Getting all extra litty.
No, like that wasn't my thing until I got older. But, and so when I look at that, like it saved me. And then just going to school, like I legit wanted to finish school so that he would be proud of me. Like my mom did not become a statistic, like she finished. And then I just kept saying like, when he grows up, you want him to finish. And so I didn't want the battle to be, well, Mom, you didn't finish school, so why do I have to go? And then we had this project that we had to do for student government, and we had to do a 5, 10, and 15-year plan. And I think I said I wanted to retire from stripping in 5 years, not knowing that it does not happen like that. And I had it all planned out, right? So I get in the car. My dad, he would pick me up and he would take me to school. And I had this big poster board that I'm all proud because I stayed up and worked on. Biggest day. I think I took like somebody's body from a Jet magazine and then like cut out my face. You know how they have the Jet Beauty of the Week with their swimsuit? So I like cut her body out and then I put my face on top, and that was like my stripper picture. And so my dad was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh, this is my plan, and this is what I'm gonna do." And he was like, "Stripper, cinnamon."
You told your daddy?
Oh yeah, I tell my daddy everything. I didn't.
I'm about to pass out.
That's so interesting.
I did, and so he was like, "Girl, you ain't gonna be." And my dad didn't cuss, okay? First of all, my dad.
If I told my daddy I wanted to be a stripper, I'd have been cursed.
Yeah,
I think I would have got my ass beat.
And so that day, he was like, "You ain't going." And this is how my dad would talk. When he would get like excited, he was like, "Girl, you ain't gonna be no damn stripper." And that's how I knew that he was mad. Because he got to shaking his head and his eyes were closed, and it just like, it mustered up like all this anger, you know what I mean? And he didn't yell. He didn't yell until he was mad. Like, that's when you knew that he was mad. And so I was just like, well, why not? Because I can make this, and this is in my mind, right? Like, this is my mind. I'm like, but why not? And I can move out the house, and then you guys won't have to help me buy this and buy that. And he was like, "Cassie, you're not going to be a stripper." And so I was mad. And he was like, "You going to go to college?" And I was like, "I'm not going to college. I hate school now. Why would I want to go?" And then, so we had to like have a whole come to Jesus moment. And so after that, I always did hair. I always knew I wanted to do hair. We had 2 beauty schools down the street from the high school. I used to see the girls walking in their all-black smocks, because back in the day, you used to have to wear your all-black smocks. Yeah. And then you would have to pull your cart with all of your stuff. Mm-hmm. So they didn't have like the fancy bags that we had, going to cosmetology school. They had that cart. And I was like, I want to do that. And he was like, you're not going to cosmetology school either. You going to college.
That's what he thought.
And I was like,
and here you are.
the
whole license.
I don't want to go to college. And he was like, you need to find something that you want to do. And so I was like, okay. So I ended up going to a JC. I had 2 years to figure out something that I wanted to do. And I remember calling my grandmother and talking to her, like, I don't know what I want to do. My dad is saying I got to go to college. And she was like, well, what do you love to do? And I was like, I love doing hair. And she was like, well, do that. And I was like, but my dad said I can't go to cosmetology school. And she was like, well, what else do you want to do? And I was like, well, I love clothes. I love fashion. And you taught me how to sew. And she was like, do that. So I was like, okay. So I ended up going. I graduated. I got my AA. I went to a fashion design school. I got my bachelor's in design and marketing. And then that didn't pan out because what they don't tell you is all the money that you need to start a line. And so I was working full-time at a cellular company. I was making great money, which is a whole nother thing that I wish I would have saved. I had a 401k. I had all these things that, my dad told me to do, but I didn't understand why I was doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I think at the time they matched, the match was like 10%. So that was a lot back then. And they gave us, working at that company, they gave us so much. And I wish I would have done more. And so I would talk to my dad about that, and he told me, like how much it take out, because my dad did taxes and he did real estate. And so I would just ask him stuff. And then I just ended up going into education, going back to school, getting my master's in education. And the whole time I was just like, this ain't what I want to do. Because hair was always my love, and cutting up jeans and ripping up T-shirts and bleaching stuff.
What
I do now. And I was like, when I would do that, there was so much joy in it. And I would tell my dad along the way, like, Daddy, like, this is not what I want to do. And he'd be like, girl, but you make good money, because he came from that generation.
That time where you
go to
needed
school
to take care of your kids.
Yes. And that was his thing. You got that baby, you got to take care of him. Because he used to always tell me, I'm not going to be here forever. So you have to know how to take care of yourself. And all that he was trying to do was to get me to know how to take care of me and my son. Because he knew how much I depended on him. Like he knew.
Because he knew the man that he was.
He knew exactly. And it would be times where, like, I would have the money, but I didn't want to spend my money. So I would call my dad, and he'd be like, come get my car. And I'd be like, okay. And I'd drive over to my dad's house. You know what I mean? Just
so
because.
How do you feel like it affected your relationships with men now?
I think, so now my desires are different. Before, what I wanted in a man was the surface stuff. I wanted him to be tall. I wanted him to, of course, be fine. I wanted him to
you still
have
want
a good
that.
job. I mean, I still want that, but it's different. Like, I wanted him to have it all together. And I wanted him to be able to do things, like, with his hands. Like, that was a big thing for me. Like, can you hang the TV on the wall?
Because you not.
Because I'm not going to do it. Do you know how to, like, fix the car? Like, can you put the bed together? Like, just stuff that, like, I would call my dad for. And then it was just like, okay, well, what if he doesn't know how to do those things? Because, like, my son doesn't know how to do that kind of stuff. My son would be quick to call, like, a handyman. And I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that, too, because you got the money to do it. So does that make you less of a man because you don't know how to do it? Because I'm holding you to this standard that you may not have had another man in your life to teach you how to do these things. So does that make you a man? Because to me, I want somebody that's going to pray for me, that's going to cover me in prayer, where I feel safe with, that I can talk to. We're going to be able to grow together. So how that affected, my relationships, it changed because I ultimately looked at what my dad did. And it was those things. It was, he prayed for me, he protected me, and I felt safe, with him.
But that brings me to my next point of when we're looking at our relationships, and not just like our partnering relationships, but even our friendships, finding relationships that have purpose in them. Because we don't have time to play games with people and the time that we have and we spend with them. We need people who are building us up as we are building them up. You know what I'm saying? We need people who are, I think you said it to me not too long ago, but a while ago, like every time you called me for something, I was there. Every time you were like, I got a project, can you make it?
And I know your schedule is busy.
I was there. You know what I'm saying? I think maybe one or two, I was like, I'm already booked.
Yeah.
But people who feed you, people who service you, and you are able to do the same thing in their lives. And those are purpose relationships. They are critical in our lives. We don't need people who are just biding our time or just using us. You know what I'm saying? And so even in a relationship with a partner, I think for me, that's a part of why I am single at this point in my life right now, because the men that I have come by don't want to grow, don't want to move forward. They're okay with being mediocre. And I've always known that whoever my husband is going to be somebody very, very special, because I know where I'm going. As far as I see the projection of where God wants to take me. I don't have the full picture. No one does. But I know that it's some place that he is calling to have both discipline and a lot of integrity and a lot of responsibility. And I need someone who can stand with me, have those same things, and move forward in that with me. And that's not someone who agrees with sitting in their BS.
Yeah.
Right.
That's someone who's like, you know what, I take responsibility for that. All right, now how are we going to go to the next level with this?
Or somebody that's still trying to discover, like, their purpose. And not
purpose can change. Like, you have your universal purpose,
yeah,
and then you have your seasonal purposes.
I'm talking about all of it.
But the seasonal ones come as you move through life.
It does.
Yeah.
Because you all, you'll start here and gotta move you to something else. But I just mean, like, the purpose of you as a man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what your full purpose is, like, what and how God intended you and why he created you to be a man.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I seek differently than before. Like, my definition of a man was, can you buy me stuff? Can you take me places? That I don't even need that. Like, now I look at a marriage and I look at the relationship that I want and that I desire is, are you submitted to God? What does your relationship with God look like? Like, is it something where I can come alongside and help you versus you doing, your thing, and then I'm doing my thing? Like, can we grow together? Like, when it's time to fast, am I gonna have to bite your head off to get you to fast? Am I gonna have to bite your head off when it's time for us to go?
Or do I have to just go to God and pray for you?
Right.
And there are some people who you do have to do that for.
Who you do have to do that for.
You just gotta go to God and be like, all right, God, I'm not gonna be the nagging wife. Or the Bible says that only God can change the heart of a man. So touch his heart. Because I'm not going to be that person, but I will be an example. I feel like you were about to say something.
I don't know.
I feel like you had like an inspo.
I lost it, whatever it was.
No jump.
It was coming, and then it left.
Okay, it's going to come back.
I don't remember what you said that. I think I just resonated with some of the things you were saying.
It's okay.
It's all good.
I think it's when you said the Bible said, what did you say? God is the only one that can change a man's heart. I think that just hit, that touched me.
Yeah, and I think sometimes too, another thing that God was sharing with me for a while is we don't always get the men we want as the fruit tree bearing fruit. Sometimes we get him in seed form. And sometimes it's up to us as the women to cultivate that seed. Because he knows we can do it.
But see, that's where I think I'm unsure. Because, like I said before, how I was raised and how I look at relationships, how do you know when it's a seed that is supposed to be poured into?
Because he's willing to grow. He's willing to learn. He's willing to move forward. I don't have to have the man that has it all. I just have to have the man that's willing.
Yeah. but I
If
guess
you
then that
willing
goes-
to walk with me, if you willing to learn to pray with me, if you willing to grow with me and tell me my drawers is dirty and I can tell you your drawers is dirty, if we can cultivate each other and take each other to a next level, because ultimately marriage is the image of God in this earth. When he made Adam and Eve, he made them to become one. And that's why Satan hates marriage so much. You can live with a man and be Gucci, but you start getting spiritual warfare when you start talking about cultivating a marriage, cultivating a family. That's when the enemy comes up against you. Because it's the image of God in this earth, that oneness, that unity, that family, growing our kids up like you were grown up in.
So do you feel like you should sow the seed with the, not sow the seed, like let's say you are given a seed, do you feel that if it's not marriage, that means you're not supposed to water that seed? Or do you guys believe that sometimes you are meant to, you're only there to water that seed and then it's a season and you're meant to move on to the next person?
All of my relationships have been me watering seeds, but I've always known it. God would specifically put me in relationships to water the guys that I was with. And I got to the point where I was like, I'm tired of watering other people's men, God. Because let me tell you how bad it was. After they left me, after they left a relationship with me, they get married.
They go get married.
They would get married. And I knew that I was there to cultivate them. I knew it. I knew they weren't the one for me, but I knew I had something that they needed to take them to their next level. And I was like, who watering mine?
Yeah.
I don't think I was
Who's
there.
watering my husband, God? Because I'm tired of watering these men's women.
Yeah.
I mean, these men's women. These
women's
women's men. Like, I'm tired of it. And so that's why I haven't dated more recently, because I specifically told God, I'm tired of fixing everybody else's man except mine. Bring me mine. Because they would all get married.
I think, because my ex, we broke up, and we still went through this, like, crazy period. We were broken up for some time, but then we were still in each other's faces, and he would date somebody else, I would date somebody else, but then ultimately he ended up getting married. And I was just like, what was that about? Like, I don't want to go through that again, you know? And I think in my mind, I gave too much, not in my mind, in reality, I gave too much of myself. Like, I was doing wifely duties in a relationship that, one, I shouldn't have been doing. Like, I gave time, talent, treasure, you know what I mean? Like, money, you know, we lived together. We did a whole lot of stuff that was just like, yeah, you don't. And again, you know, my dad was like, this is not what you should be doing. But me thinking like I know everything was just like, but we gonna get married. And we did. We had planned on getting married. And it just didn't work out. And then I was left with this like pain, like this gut wrenching, but I loved you. I gave all of myself to you. Yeah. And in my mind, I did things like I cooked, I cleaned, I went to work. We were both still in school. Like, I made sure that I was taking care of my son. And I'm doing all of this, and it was just like for you to be able to walk away.
Yeah.
And that, it took years for me to be able to kind of like get over it. Like, he's gone, he's married, he has other kids.
Because you were giving out of imbalance.
I gave just too much imbalance. And
because
so
you were giving and you weren't also receiving either.
I received, but it was what everybody else was telling me that I received what I thought I wanted.
You weren't receiving what you needed.
Right. I received what I thought I wanted. I didn't receive anything of what I needed.
Yeah.
Because I didn't need to give of myself like that in the first place. And so the little that he gave, and I'm not speaking of like finances or anything like that, but it just
emotional security.
That's
a big one for us
and
as
all
women.
of those things that like in a marriage, in my mind, I was doing this because this is going to show him that I could be a wife. I was like 22, 23, and I was like, I'm going to show him that when he comes home that I can cook and I can clean and the sex is great.
But I think that's the difference between us as women and men. Immediately when we look at a man, a lot of times we'll be like, could he be a husband?
Yep.
We do.
And the men just be like, I kind of like her.
Yep.
She got a nice body.
She got
a cute
face.
face. Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, she's got a brain in there. It's like they take it step by step, and they're in the moment. Whereas
and then
we're
when we
like
show
5
our
years
emotions,
from now.
Yep.
And they're like, why are you tripping on us? And we like, you could have been my husband. Like,
Yep.
man,
We already started planning a wedding.
Hold on.
And they just like, they ain't even planning the date night yet. Right.
Then why you here? Because you were really nice and I liked you.
Yeah, and I like hanging
Yeah,
out
is
with
that
you and
simple
spending
for you?
time.
Pretty
You helped
much.
me put my resume together.
Pretty
You know what I mean?
much. I thought you were a nice woman.
Yeah, you're
and now you want to
funny.
hop into getting a whole ring.
Right. Yep. I like
just
your
think-
tacos.
And I definitely think that your purpose has to align. You know what I'm saying? You should not be looking at a man and be like, can I straight up marry you right now? Like, that's not realistic for every situation. There are some people that does happen for because the man is ready for that. He is looking for that. But there are some people who you have to take in seed form. Not saying that you need to wait 10 years because that's absolutely ridiculous if you are doing that. Why are you doing that? Don't do that. That's absolutely ridiculous if you're waiting that long. Because he has no plan for you. You're a placeholder at that point. Like, he's just keeping you there until he finds the woman that he actually wants to marry if he has not done that. Now, I understand, like, if he's getting ready. Because there are some men who do want to get married.
What if they're not ready yet? Like, because marriage does not necessarily... Marriage isn't easy. Marriage is not just, okay, I love you and I love and you love me, so let's just do it.
It's
like
work.
sometimes financially and family wise and everything, like it's about timing too. So how do you know when it's time?
No,
what if it does take like an
I do have a friend. They were together 7 years before they got married. But they also started their relationship in college.
Yeah, so they're still growing.
So, you know what I'm saying? They literally grew into their adulthood together. I can understand that.
I think that's usually...
You know what I'm saying? I can understand a long relationship from college. If you're an adult in a long relationship and y'all been together 10 plus years, there's something that's not clicking and y'all need counseling in order, and you know what I'm saying? Or you're a placeholder. It's pretty much that simple. Either he does not really want to be with you, or what he's seeing or what you're seeing, you're not like, I can't marry that right now. I want to be with you, but there's something that's not clicking, and we ain't fixed it.
Don't
I
do
do
get
know a
married.
couple that has done that. They were together 10 years. They broke up for maybe like a year and a half. They came back. They went to counseling, fixed a lot of their issues, and then immediately got married right after that. But they were in that long relationship because they had issues they never dealt with. At the same time, it also could have been that he or she didn't want each other. They were just comfortable. Because a lot of people are in comfortable relationships, not purposeful relationships. Comfortable. You're there because I've invested this much time. You know,
we got a house.
We got a house. We got a dog. We got a dog, baby.
We got a business.
You know what I'm saying? We finally had a kid.
Yeah. Or
you know,
some kids.
You know what I'm saying? You're there because it's comfortable, not because there's purpose between you two or in the relationship where you feel like this is the person I could really be with and I could really fulfill all the potential that is within me. Like, they would push me and they would help me and they would support me. No, this is just what I've been in for the last 4 years, and
it's cool.
It's safe.
It's
kind
real
of,
cool.
sort of. You know, or this is what I know. You know, I grew up in dysfunction, and so I'm in a relationship that's dysfunctional. This is what I know. I don't believe that I deserve a good relationship. I don't believe that I deserve a healthy relationship. I don't even know what that looks like. I don't even know how to act in a healthy relationship.
A lot of people don't. A lot of people know how to talk about and theorize a healthy relationship, but a lot of people don't know how to actually be in it and practice it and live it.
Because a healthy relationship takes a whole lot of work. And it takes
you looking at you.
The communication.
It does. It's literally like this mirror that gets put up to you, and you